3, the beard. All night long, Dave cut and cut and cut, until in the morning he finally gave up. Oh God. And let it all flow. Hello? Ambulance, please. Hello. Yes, I was wondering if you could send an ambulance. I seem to have a big beard on me. It's really growing quite fast. Hello? Oh God. Right, is that the earliest appointment he can do? Okay, 3:30 then, thank you. He's having to carry his beard. Ooh, failure to present to work in a state of perfection results in instant dismissal and failure of any employee to shave facial hair. It results in instant dismissal. Happy lunch, please. Strictly no untidiness, thank you. Right. Paul. Dave. Yes, right. Sorry, Dave. I think I might have to refer you. Okay. Who to, doctor? Oh, sorry. A specialist. Professor Darren Black. He's the best at this sort of thing. Quite famous, in fact. Like I say, just try to relax, okay? Yes, doctor. Thank you. Oops. Darren, it's Clive. Darren, I think it's happened. Dave stayed at home the next day and did the only thing he could do to keep calm. He listened to the Bangles, looked out at his street, and drew. It helped not to look back. And it was while drawing his view that he noticed the next strange thing. He found that the more he drew, the less he focused on the scenery, and the more he started looking at the people. In particular, the men. He sketched them for hours. There was something peculiar about the men, something he couldn't quite place. And then, good Lord, he saw what it was. Oh my God, that's his beard. He saw what had been under his nose all along. Or indeed, what hadn't. Okay, we're rolling. Hi, Dave. I'm Professor Darren Black. I know, I've been expecting you, but why have you got a camera crew? Oh, it's for research. Support group videos, you know, nothing public. Really? Of course. May we come in? Okay. Magnificent. So, Dave, as I say, we're just going to, shall I sit here? Okay. Film the consultation. Purely academic research. No publicity. Your condition is extremely, unusual, you see. Okay, Mike, so I'll do the intro while you pen out. Don't worry, Dave. We'll be totally discreet. Hi, I'm Professor Darren Black. and today I want to tell you a story. Perhaps the most disturbing and remarkable story you've ever heard. It is the story of a man whose face has become, in just the past few days, a portal to hell. Cut. What was that bit? Oh, nothing. Hell. You said hell. That was just a bit of color for the telly. What? You know, a bit of a story for the research film. Professor, would you mind telling me the story? Perhaps before you tell the camera, I want to know what's happening to me. Okay? Do you have a pencil? Here is perfect. Wouldn't you agree, Dave? I hope you're going to rub that off. Nowhere on this chunk of rock we call home is there a weed unplucked or a lawn untrimmed. Never will you see a gate hanging off its hinges, or a car poorly parked, or a shanky piece of paving. And as you yourself may have noted, Dave, nowhere but nowhere on all of here is there an unshaven face, right? But as we all know, Dave, there is another place. It is a place of nothing, no boundaries, no laws, a place of chaos. There. But do you know what the most disturbing thing about there is, Dave? Its name. Very different from here, or is it? What I'm saying, Dave, is, what if there were here all along? What if it wasn't a place at all, but a force of chaos and disorder living everywhere, lurking beneath things, kept at bay on here by all the tidiness, like lava searching for somewhere to break through? What if it found somewhere, Dave? What if it found you? It's the law of things, Dave. That which is suppressed must be expressed. So you mean it's like nature? No, Dave, not nature. Something much worse, much older than that. Nature makes order, Dave. Organisms are organized. What you have coming through your face is an eruption of disorder. Eris, Jurakan, entropy, the great soup from which we came and to which we shall return, a 13 billion year journey from the dawn of the universe across time, through your face, and onto your carpet. Oh dear. But why me? What? Why is all this messiness, entropy, whatever? Why is it coming through my face? What did I do? Because, Dave. Because. Because is a word used by order-loving beings about a world which they like to think is ordered. Because is for storybooks. This is, well, I know this is difficult to understand, Dave, but what we see here is becauselessness itself. There's no cure, is there? Not as such, but something that appears without cause could also disappear without cause, Dave. And what if it doesn't? Listen, Dave, you just need to stay calm. So, what makes you calm? Listening to Eternal Flame by the Bangles and drawing pictures of my street. Right. You should do that. Oh, and you should sign this prescription. Yes, of course. It's a waiver of privacy. And you should look into the camera. Okay? No publicity. No publicity. God. Breaking news. On every channel. Soon enough, Dave, who had for so long lived on the edge of things, became the center of tension. Is that him? Yeah, that's the bloke on the news. And as he tried to keep calm by sketching his view, he found himself no longer drawing passers-by, but spectators instead. The curious, oh my god, look at the size of that. The furious, that's outrageous. Have a shave, man. The watching, and it would later be thought significant that as the number of visitors grew, shall we push to the front, and grew, can I get on your shoulders, Dad? Nobody even thought of forming an orderly queue. Before long, it started making noises as it folded into and over and around itself. When the noise became too much, Dave tried to get rid of it for one last time by feeding it to the hungry brine. But it was no use. The beard just grew too fast, too strong, too profuse. Oh God, oh God, oh God. It filled Dave's room. It untidied his things. And all he could do was watch as it grew and listen to it sing an eternal shh. What? What are you looking at? You busted through the window. Oh God, help. Run. Does it say Ruddy Hill? Ruddy Hill. The paramedics were first. Come on, love, you'll be alright. Then fire and rescue. It's blunted the bloody bolt cutters. Then finally, the police. Hold the kettle, chaps. But it sought out the gaps and confounded them all. Police caught by the buzz. That's funny. And even Dave, whose capacity for surprise was diminishing almost as fast as the beard was growing, was amazed by the speed with which the army arrived on the scene, with some sort of great big tank-like improvised machine. He was also surprised by how quickly it defeated them. As anybody who saw the beard from the crowd or on TV will tell you, the thing itself caused surprisingly little alarm. In fact, there was something about it that left all observers feeling dreadfully, disturbingly calm. Its blackness seemed to drown all thought. People found themselves watching it for hours hours as it curled into and over and around itself. It seemed to evade definition somehow. For its top side was its underside, its right side was its left side, and its inside was its outside. In fact, when people looked at it closely, they couldn't even tell where it stopped. Soon enough, observers reported strange psychological phenomena, such as hypnosis, or a disconcerting feeling of one's darkest, most deeply buried nightmares migrating to the surface. And strangest of all, a distinct sense of time growing somehow, disordered, to the point where reality seemed to run out of sequence. They said it was sort of like trying to read a story, but all the pages were mixed up from different books, so that it can't be read, you know? They said it was kind of like looking at the world through the eyes of the dead. That probably sounds silly. Not at all, not at all. Ultimately, it was when it started undermining the neighbors' houses and disrupting traffic. But this is my route to work. Sorry, sir. And consuming trees and attracting wildlife, that the government finally decided on more drastic action. A public execution? But Prime Minister, that would be barbaric. Then for heaven's sake, Professor, what else do you suggest? The man is fast becoming a threat to state security. But, I'm sorry, Darren, if we can't cut it, we have to kill it at source. No, Prime Minister, think of the headlines. If we can't cut it, then we have only one civilized option. Professor, surely you don't mean... I do, Prime Minister. Call in the hairdressers. 3 months later. This is after they called in the hairdressers. Whoa. So, I'm assuming these are the hairdressers. Perhaps. Yeah, they've got little hair dryers. And they just built this up around the beard. Moose. They're trying. Oh, I thought that was a tennis racket. It's a big brush, hairspray, hair dryers. It had started out with 20, but by the end of the week it was 60. In 3 months' time, half the hairdressers of here had been conscripted. The government's official line was thought up by a hastily appointed consultant, the beard expert, Professor Darren Black. It's true, yes, that it cannot be physically cut as such, but to be frank with you, Susan, it really is simply a case of, well, if you can't beat it, style it. But the results of the styling were as much of a surprise to the hairdressers as they were to everyone else. There's that hand shape again. People started asking them, why are you styling it this way? Why don't you just moose it out to sea? To which they could only reply, well, it's difficult to say. You see, We're just doing what hairdressers do. We're working with the hair. And it's pretty stubborn stuff, let me tell you. You must understand, it just seems to want to make these shapes. And it seems to want to go inland. Here's this house way down here. And as all the people of here looked at the beard, an uneasy feeling of recognition formed. For though nobody mentioned it, everyone had at some point had exactly the same nightmare of these shapes up there. All the while, at the bottom of the chaos, Dave just sat with aching back while drinking a specially formulated, supposedly beard-retarding, nutritional brew, and fielded interview after interview after interview. Are you a terrorist, Dave? What is it you love about the Bengals, Dave? How do you feel, Dave? How do I feel? Well, I feel like this is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to me. That would be me. I would be worried about being embarrassed. The untidiness, as it later came to be known, first became apparent in people's hairstyles. For with all the hairdressers now closed for beard duty by government decree, everyone soon realized they would have to cut their own hair. There. With differing results. Consequently, for the first time in his life, Dave found that the people he drew outside his house looked not quite perfect. And when there were no more hairdressers to enlist, the dog groomers were called in. And when there were no more dog groomers, the gardeners were summoned. Until, in the space of just 4 months, a gentleman's walk to work, sorry sir, road closed, perhaps newly diverted via the park, revealed not the regular, familiar, trimmed world of here, but a world entirely changed. And with change came fear, and with fear came blame. They should just get rid of him. He's best off dead. Soon everyone had their own name. It's a punishment from God. It's nature's revenge. It's just pure evil. For the dread. And ultimately, what is the act of naming but a special kind of tidying away? It had to end somewhere. About bloody time. They strapped balloons to it, I believe. It was, of course, the government's idea. Professor Black, I must advise you to sit down. But, Prime Minister, we have to understand why this is happening. Naturally. And that is exactly what we intend to do, Professor. The balloon plan is simply a permanent system of rotational balloon support, minimalizing scaffold footprint and protecting here edge housing stock. But you well know with this many balloons there is a great risk of Professor Black. You are a great communicator, Darren. We all know that. But your days as a serious academic are behind you. Please be careful not to exceed your brief. The government are well aware of the potential for accident. Now where were we? Here, bring it closer for the log on. Left 1 meter, that's it. Engaged, sir. Good job, Mike. Please confirm unit number. That was 20, sir. 20? Good God, you'd better pull out now. The official government report states that there was never any intention for anything other than an indefinite process of low-atmosphere beard suspension. But everyone accepted the truth, even Dave. It was just tidier this way. And all witnesses concur that as the beard began to lift, and the tethers began to groan and scream, Dave looked, well, I guess he looked sort of serene. Dave, excuse me. Dave, excuse me. Dave, I'm so sorry. I couldn't stop them. That's okay, Professor. I understand. I'll send you a postcard. But I remember he clutched his pad and his pencils to his beard. Got them to turn the bangles up really loud. Close your eyes. Give me your hand, darling. I guess that's words of the song. And he just took a last look at his street. Do you feel my heart beating? And he said something so weird. He said, "It's beautiful." Am I only dreaming, or is this burning, an eternal... I guess that's also words of the song. Flame. It wasn't pretty, that was true, but it looked like an ending. Neat, complete, and as Dave sailed away into the horror deep blue, everyone knew the beard event was over. Part 4. There. Line 1, Chapter 1 of the There Equation, How a Little Bit of Chaos Can Make Everything Much Tidier, by Professor Darren Black, author of Eternal Flame. A fascinating book which basically explains everything. Here, mail. Reads, the changes were small at first. For some, it began with a new self-administered hairstyle, which kind of grew on them. For others, it was a slightly less tidy look that just kind of stuck. Pubescent sproutings started growing to become movements, and clothing experiments began to spawn unruly trends. There was even a trickle of ex-beard spectators who, having visited Dave's house during the event, found themselves returning to the sea for holidays, a little less afraid than before. The local architecture of the old beard zone also displayed changes, where those who'd had their houses destroyed by the beard found themselves being created with their insurance paychecks, and commuters who had once been forced to try new routes to work nowadays found themselves doing so voluntarily. It was the fear that people noticed most, though, or rather, its absence. Within a year, most people could barely remember what they were once afraid of. And by the end of the decade, it had almost become a lifestyle cliché. To, in the famous phrase of Professor Black, let a bit of there into your day. Yet another sort of exercise video for the soul. And as the years went by, with no further beard-like events, what happened to Dave became past. Nobody noticed that this most extraordinary of happenings had been absorbed into the flow of life, as familiar as well-known song. A story many times retold, repackaged, and resold. Reframed, re-experienced. And ultimately reclaimed by the inevitable growing back of the skin of things. Today, people no longer even see a scar, but Professor Darren Black finds himself more and more aware of there. Yes, as the years fly past. Some more on the beach, Darren. Very well, Boz. Let's go fishing. The book Professor Black is now working on will be his last. He does not intend it to be published. No one would want to read it anyway, for it's a very different sort of book to the cheerful lifestyle pop he has peddled to a shell-shocked public in recent years. For stories are such necessary lies. Here, it will be written by the sea and by the skies. Another one. More sketches. Seems so. Do you think it's him? Who knows? We'll put them in the book. He hopes that one day he might be able to make some kind of sense or sequence of these images. Maybe even a narrative, a story from there. So far, none is apparent. That's it. Wow. Alright, well, that was the gigantic beard. That was evil. That was interesting, to say the least. One of the weirder things I've ever read, but still pretty good. I think it has a lot of really good underlying messages about accepting other people's differences. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there. You could probably analyze and reanalyze all of this, and it could mean something huge and powerful, or it could just be about a really big beard that almost took over a town. But either way, I hope you've enjoyed my reading of this, and you should probably go pick it up for yourself, because you probably can't see all of the pictures really well from the camera, but it's really good. There's a lot of little details that just make it even funnier. But yeah, it's pretty good. Guys, have a good night's sleep and don't have crazy nightmares about there.